Crows Club presents B-Side Breakdown.
Hey everyone, welcome to the B-Side Breakdown. My name is Brett Johnson and I'm your host. This is episode 34 of a podcast where I talk with other artists, musicians, and songwriters about a song they've written that's meaningful to them, that they want to chat about, get deep into the why behind it. First, they got to give me permission to play the song in its entirety in the episode so you, the listener, get a chance to hear it before we have our conversation. Cool? All right. So today I'm going to be talking with Bill Collins from the band Forbidden Seas about their song Wolves, Sheep. It's a great tune. I can't wait for you to hear it. So here is Wolves, Sheep by Forbidden Seas. All right, and that was Wolves Sheep by Forbidden Seas. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and chat with Bill Collins about the song, so please hang tight and stay with us and we'll be right back. All right, and we are back. Let's bring in Bill Collins from the band Forbidden Seas to talk about the song Wolves Sheep. Bill, thank you so much for taking some time to talk about the song with me.
Yeah, Brett, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's I I really enjoyed listening to this as soon as I heard it. I just kind of keep listening to it. There's so much history I know just from your music and your past music with Jer and Jeremy Jessen, who's also a part of this, as I understand, and just there's some like nods to some of that stuff that is just super fun to kind of, it feels like a that good baseball glove that I've always used, and I'm like, oh man, it's so nice to hear this combination again, and I really dug it. But please tell us all about the song. Why did you want to talk about Wolves Sheep today?
Yeah. So this song was one of the first of a batch of songs I started writing right at the beginning of 2020. Like January, I think, after Christmas break was all over, life kind of gets back to normal. I kind of had, I guess, maybe a New Year's resolution or something like that. But
Sure.
I wanted to just get back into writing and working with a band again. And um, for years I've been trying to start working with Jeremy Jessen again, and because we had just a really good um, working creative relationship and chemistry that I really wanted to get back into that. Those days with All the Way Rider were some of the best years of my life, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was super creative and fun, and the local music scene of Minneapolis and the early 2000s, mid 2000s
Yep.
was pretty special, man. Like so many great bands and friends, and so I had been away from making music for quite a few years. So I mean, the song is special for a number of reasons. It kind of marks my personal return into making music with a band, but also kind of rekindling the creative relationship with Jer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not to mention the other guys involved are two former bandmates that
Oh, okay.
I would put them in kind of the same category as Jerry. We had great chemistry and great working relationships, just kind of being on the same page musically. And Brandon Dickert is the drummer, and Matt Russell is the bass player. We both I played in a band with those two when I lived in Los Angeles. We did an EP and a full length, and we're together for about 3 or 4 years, and we all ended up moving kind of back home, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Brandon still lives in LA, but anyways, yeah. So why is the song important? Just kind of a return to music, working
Yeah.
with some of my, um, good friends. And it was also kind of I started experimenting with a bunch of different guitar tunings.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm sure some guitar players can relate to when you kind of get, on a plateau of just using drop D or standard or something like that. When you open it up to open tunings or something like that, you write differently. And
Agreed.
this song was sorry, let me go back with that. It's AAD GAD, so the low string is tuned down an octave,
Okay.
so it sounds super thick. And but with that, the top three strings give this kind of warm, open sound that was used in a lot of like Led Zeppelin and a lot of Shiner tunes as well. Use this tuning. I think
Got it.
he tends to use DADGAD. But anyways, long story short, it was just a good time for me to kind of like rekindle the relationship with Jer and the other guys,
Yeah.
and get a bunch of ideas out into the world.
That's awesome, man. And for all you listeners that are unfamiliar, I forget the year, maybe 2006 or seven, or it might be too late on that. There's a band from Minneapolis called All the Way Rider that Bill mentioned, and they had a record called The Eagles' Revenge. And that record was on constant repeat for me for about 2 years. It was such an awesome, awesome creative thing. I loved that record. I loved that record. And to know that that's what I was talking about earlier when I'm like, yeah, like when you say like, yeah, part of this for you is to reconnect with Jared and reconnect to that chemistry that you guys had in that writing process and that sort of writing context. It's like, oh yeah, man. I mean, I feel it right away when I heard it. I was like, that is so awesome. And it's just super exciting to know that, you know, how influential you both apparently are on each other creatively in that way, because it's super dope. Like I'm beside myself with it. I'm so into it. That plus I love the fact that yeah, like this was your first you know, yeah, good job your first time back out writing a song in forever, because wow, man, like it's a great song. And that
Thank
for
you.
me, yeah, absolutely. And it's so it is. I really, really like it a lot. And there's so many things going in it with the textures and kind of the soundscapes. And I know the band is called Forbidden Seas, and I'm interested to know why that name, but there's, you know, that affects the how I listen to it and how I hear it, because I hear it with this more open kind of imagination visually. Like I mean, and not to sound, I'm not comparing you guys to Mastodon, so don't take this way. But in one of their records, like it sounds like they're in a thunderous ocean and a whale's trying to kill them. Like it, and you can see it when you're listening to it. And for this felt like, yeah, like I don't know what's going on in the sky. I don't know what's going on in the water, and I don't know if it has anything to do with it. But it felt like, yeah, there's definitely like this voyage kind of happening in it. And I just thought all that was super awesome too. Like it's just incredibly expressive and creative on so many levels. So, I mean, yeah, awesome work.
Cool, man. Yeah, thank you for saying that. That's means a lot. You know, one thing, my least favorite thing about um, new projects and new bands, my least favorite thing is coming up with a name,
Oh, sure. Okay, fair.
because like
Yeah.
you come up with a cool name and it's taken, right?
Right.
Oh, you know, some, I don't know, some band that has one single and they're based in you know, Turkmenistan, and they have a band camp and they took your name. You know, I think there's some examples where you can be like, you know what, we're gonna be sharing this name, but
Sure.
you know, some of the names that I had thought of before and kind of bounced back and forth with the other guys were taken, you know, and they were taken by groups that, you know, had some releases out there, and you know, they were still active. So, you know, you got to steer clear of that.
Yep.
And this name was one that I really settled on because I wanted to have something that was kind of open-ended in a way.
Mm-hmm.
The name Forbidden Seas really kind of for me expresses something of it open-ended in exploration, and
Yeah.
where we don't have a defined sound necessarily. It does kind of sound a bit darker, for lack of a better word.
Sure.
And I remember sharing it with some friends early on. They're like, I think it's trying too hard. I'm like, dude, you have no idea how many names I've gone through, and this is the one that actually is not taken. You know, I'm feeling pretty strongly about it. But the inspiration actually came from a video I found on YouTube with Carl Sagan. Basically, Carl Sagan, who talks about, it's a quote from a Herman Melville book. He wrote Moby Dick.
Okay.
And Herman Melville says something to the extent of, I long for the remote. I long to explore forbidden seas. And it's like, it kind of to me was like this thing of like, life is, I'm going to sound like a super huge hippie right now, but life is this long journey you take. And you know, music is a huge part of my life, and a lot of, you know, my musician friends, it's a big part of our life. It's a big part of our you know, creative expression, and our you know, it defines kind of who we are. And I wanted this to be kind of a vehicle to explore lots of different musical paths. You know, we have some instrumental stuff that we're kind of working on, and honestly, the creative well is full right now, and there's lots of ideas that I'm hoping that this kind of turns into multiple releases and some
Yeah.
live shows and things like that. So yeah, I mean, long-winded answer, but the name for me was something that it took a while to find, but I think it really sums up kind of like what I want to do with this band and where I want to take it. I also kind of said like I want a project that I can be like, 72 and have a long gray beard and play like 15-minute prog jams, and it's going to be okay.
Yep. No, I get it. And yeah, that's interesting that some of the folks you shared it with, I forget what they said. What did they say? That you're trying too hard with the name?
Trying too hard, yeah.
Trying too hard. That I'll tell you, I'm familiar with that sentiment, and when I see it, I recognize that too. And with this, as soon as I saw it and as soon as I heard it, all I felt was, oh, this is entirely deliberate. Like it felt there's such intent behind it, and that's what really resonated with me all the way around. I mean, it was, and it's funny because even what was fun and just what you described about the name, I felt like in other ways you were saying back what I was saying to you about how I experienced listening to this. I mean, which is super fun for me and really cool. And the irony that you're talking about this comes from Moby Dick, and here I was talking about Mastodon's record Leviathan and the song Blood and Thunder, which is about Moby Dick. That's what I was referring to. There's I think that's fun too. And that, yeah, that's how it feels like this sort of awesome journey. I mean, it was funny when you said, the one thing that I hate the most about being in a new band, and I was like, oh no, sorry, dude. I thought you were going to say it's being compared to my old bands. And I'm like, okay, that's not what I'm trying to do when I mentioned All the Way Rider at all. But I'm glad you didn't say that. But the other side of that is I hear there's experiential things that I have from it. And this is hard to convey to people sometimes when I'm not meaning to say, this is what I think you sound like. But I had this mind-blowing experience seeing Mogwai perform once, and it had this complete immersive post-rock textured, awesome, I don't know what was going on, and I was just floored by it and went to La La Land in my seat, absorbing it all. And truly, like I can sit here with my eyes closed and listen to this, and it's just like I can have, again, this completely sort of transcendent visual experience at the same time, and it's super fun to have that, to still get that, and to get that from, man, dudes that I know that have been writing music together for off and on for a long, long time. And that's really fun. It's just fun to know that you guys are out there doing it, and super excited for everything else you have coming up with it.
Cool, man. Yeah, I feel like, with the guys I work with in this band are busy and have families and jobs, and are also in a few other music projects.
Sure.
So I feel like, this is kind of just a vehicle for us all to kind of like express a certain part of our,
Yeah.
musical taste and creativity. You know, um, you know, I also do other stuff too musically that I haven't really put out to the world, but kind of more like electronic stuff, and some of that kind of finds its way into the Forbidden Seas tunes a little bit. So it's just, yeah, it's great just to kind of have different creative vehicles in your life.
So far, 2 songs have been released. Part of a quote unquote single that I've seen on Spotify. Is that single going to expand, or is there more coming as a different single, or what's kind of next on the release front for the current body of work?
Yeah, we're working on a record actually. So we put out those 2 singles just to kind of like dip our toes in the water. Kind of just it's getting our socials up and all that. And we're working on a record right now. When I say record, I should clarify it's only going to be about 6 songs. But we have a lot more kind of in the works. As I was mentioning earlier, some instrumental stuff, kind of working on that. And yeah, just I always kind of have songs that are being worked on in various different phases. But currently we have about 5 or 6 that are um, all demoed out. Pro Tools sessions have been sent out to everyone. And by the way, we all work remotely, which has its own set of challenges. But luckily, it's pretty streamlined. So Brandon, our drummer, um, he lives in Los Angeles, and he has a studio in his garage, and it's a pretty legit studio. His drums are always mic'd up, and um, you know, we both use Pro Tools, so we could just trade sessions back and forth. And Jer has a home studio set up in his house, and then Matt, our bass player, also has a setup. So we basically just trade sessions back and forth via Dropbox.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all demoed out. And the good thing about working with Brandon is the drums sound great. He plays them very well, but when he's done, we kind of go back and forth and get feedback and whatnot. But he's delivering these projects where the drums are edited and cleaned up and
Right.
like on the grid with Beat Detective and stuff like that. So it's like,
That's awesome.
dang, dude, thank you.
Yeah.
Because that in itself is tons of work to
Right.
get everything clean and edited. But yeah, it's been working out pretty well so far. I do plan to hopefully get up to Minneapolis, and we'll track Jer's vocals in a studio, and to kind of just make sure we're, getting the tones the way we want them.
Yep.
And Matt, the bass player, lives locally in the Chicago area.
Okay.
So he and I get together every now and then. And so we can always kind of work at my place or his.
Got it. So, okay. When did the gap start of you stopping songwriting and picking it back up again? Like what was the time frame like between songwriting?
Yeah. In 2017, my wife and I, we moved back from Los Angeles for a few reasons. We wanted to have children and buy a home. And both of those two things are very difficult to do in the Los Angeles area.
Sure.
Unless you live like far out in the desert or something like that. And so we moved back in early 2017, and, just the whole process of, moving back to, or just moving anywhere, you have to get your foundation, getting a job and getting a place to live and all that stuff. But we were also trying to have kids at the time. So that was a challenge, and going through that whole process. And so, yeah, my priorities were not music at the time. And,
Sure.
For a few years after that. And it's kind of gotten to the point where, they're old enough now, and I have more time to kind of work on music. So it was a good 5 years where I was just kind of not writing music for band stuff.
Yep.
I had been doing things on the side, doing like commercial production for some music libraries. So like these are some people I met out in LA that do this kind of thing, like music for advertisements and TV shows. And I was fortunate to kind of keep my chops up, I guess, using a DAW and producing and things like that. So I was making a lot of things kind of on the side, but
Sure.
my heart has always been this kind of music, kind of post rock, progressive, heavy stuff like that. So when I had the opportunity to kind of get back into it, and to find that my former bandmates were down for it, and it was great, because I had missed doing this for so many years.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thanks for all that context. Frankly, I didn't know you moved to LA. I thought you had left Minneapolis and went to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And then just have been in Chicago. So I didn't know you went to LA. What was the band in LA? What was it called?
So there's a bit of a story. I moved out to LA to play in a band, and it was not the band that I was mentioning earlier. The band is also some old friends, originally from Minneapolis by way of Milwaukee. Oh my God, I'm blanking out on the name. Give me a second.
Sure.
uh Solare.
Okay.
Solare.
Okay.
But so in late 2009, early 2010, my friend Josh from Solare asked, "Hey, do you want to be in this band?" And I was like, "Yeah." It featured Tim Dow, the original drummer of Shiner,
Right.
and he played in Year of the Rabbit
Yep.
for
Got it.
a while. So I was like, "Oh my God, yes, yes, dude." Um, and so we moved out there. I luckily had a job where I could transfer, and my wife was able to pick up something pretty quickly, kind of doing the line of work she did in Chicago out there.
Hmm.
And I don't know, we had a really soft landing out there in LA. Like a lot of people go out and it's tough, and you got to like live in a crappy place and all that, which, we didn't live in like the greatest place ever, but we had a band, we got jobs pretty quickly, and had a little bit of a social circle out there. It's funny when you move out there, you'd think like, oh, you're going to meet people from Los Angeles, but nobody's from Los Angeles. Like the people that we
Right.
immediately gravitated towards were, guess what? They're from Minnesota,
Sure.
Chicago, Milwaukee. And not saying that we didn't meet any Californians, but
Right.
there's just you like you're at the same shows. Oh, Life and Times is playing at this such and such bar. Like you all go there, and you're like, it's just something that kind of we found each other, I guess, and that's a story I've heard a lot. But yeah, played with Solare for a little bit. Sadly, it didn't really take off. Like we rehearsed a bunch. They ended up writing an EP, and it kind of got to the point where uh, the leaders of the band,
Hmm.
they're like, we're done. We're not going to do it anymore. They were just kind of like in a crossroads with their life too, and they decided to, I guess, hang it up, and kind of focus on careers and having a family and all these things too. So,
Sure.
but yeah, and then I do have a little story about the band that I played in with Brandon and Matt in
Yeah,
Los
please.
Angeles. And this is I think it's kind of a cool story. And so Brandon is originally from Chicago,
Hmm.
and one of the other guys in the band, his name is Phil, also from the Chicago area, and we knew each other. So a couple of years before LA, we met in Chicago, and we, again, just became fast friends, and we kind of wrote some music together for a little bit. And then, funny enough, all three of us were like, we all want to move to Los Angeles, and we all kind of moved at different times, but we ended up there within about 6 months of each other.
Oh, funny.
So yeah, it was just, yeah, let's get this project going. That band became Sidewave.
Okay.
We released a full length in 2015 and a split single with this other band from San Diego, which I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But that was great. That was super fun. But the funny story here is how we met our bass player. And coincidentally, it's kind of in a similar way of how I met my wife. And it's because of the band Houston, the Minneapolis band Houston.
Sure.
And it has nothing to do with Jeff or Lane or Ian. It has to do with people that were kind of in that circle, I guess you could say. And so Sidewave is this band. It was Phil, Matt, and I. Sorry, Phil, Brandon, and I. This is about 2013, 2014. And I knew a guy, or know a guy, from the LA area, which I'm sure a lot of Houston fans know. His name is Chemo, and he goes by the what do you call it? Like, what do you call your name in like a community or like Reddit, like your username or whatever it's
Yeah.
called? But the name Darshun, does that ring a
Okay.
bell with you?
No.
Yeah, so I think he's the guy that like started like the Houston Facebook page and maybe some like um I don't know, like community things online and things like that.
Interesting.
And like he went to the Kansas City final show at the Madrid in 2003 with Shiner. And we're at a show, I think it was Life and Times potentially in Los Angeles. And we're hanging out there and I see this guy with a Houston shirt. And I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? He's like, Houston, they're awesome. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, hey, I'm from Minneapolis originally, and I played in this band called All the Way Rider. He like takes his hat off and throws it on the floor. He's like, get out of here. And I'm like, no, it's true. It's 100% true. It's like nobody knew who we are, but I was thinking like, I was just surprised at his reaction.
Sure.
And he's like, yeah, I'm Chemo. And he told me the whole story and all that. So fast forward a little bit. The band Failure reunites, and they were playing their first show back, since rejoining at the El Rey in like February of 2014.
Okay.
And Chemo and I had stayed in touch a little bit, just kind of texting or social media messages, whatever, since we saw each other at that one show. And he knew that we were looking for a bass player. So it just happened to be that Chemo and Matt, the bass player, were like standing right next to each other in line. And, they're both friendly, talkative people. So they just kind of started chatting. And Chemo says, hey, this band I know is looking for a bass player. And so he connected us with Matt. And, just kind of one of those things, like we ended up just getting along great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just being like super, good friends. And to elaborate even further on how it was like the universe kind of connecting us or whatever. Yeah. His wife is originally from Chicago, and he spent tons of time in Chicago. So we're all like, just had all this, these things in common, which is always, a good starting place when you're building a relationship. So
agreed.
Yeah, we just kind of found each other through mutual friends. And if it wasn't for Houston, who knows? Maybe we wouldn't have met.
Right. Well, yeah, shout outs to Jeff Halland and Alan Epley for helping bring us all together with your various bands.
Exactly.
That's for sure. No, that's awesome. And thanks for all that. And I also love that you did this, essentially did this record over file sharing. And I'm familiar with that too. I've moved around so much that, I put out a 6-song EP kind of the same way, where it was all file sharing. Everybody's in a different state and we're just all recording and sharing our tracks through Google Drive or Dropbox or something. And next thing you know, our engineer's putting it all together. So it's fun to see how that works, but you'd never know. I mean, it doesn't sound to me like it wasn't, that nothing about Forbidden Sea sounds like, oh, it wasn't written in a practice space, which I think is also really great, that there's no disconnect in the sound at all of how you might have put that together. Cause I've heard that in some other contexts where it's like, yeah, it kind of sounds like this was someone did this, that, and then it sort of was slapped together. But I love the way that however you are all able to collaborate together, it's amazing in the 2 songs I've heard, and I look forward to hearing more.
Cool, man. Yeah, thanks. That's a good thing to hear, that it didn't sound too like, I don't know, rigid or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. We definitely didn't hash it out live in the studio. It was, all file sharing, but I think it just having other people in the band that can really help out with, editing and
sure,
stuff like that makes it super easy. But yeah, I do miss the in-person stuff. I think that's really important. And so we're going to try to get a little bit of that happening. And hopefully at some point, maybe we all sit in the same room. I definitely want this project to, I want us to play shows, for sure. We would all be kind of weekend warriors, I guess you could say.
Sure.
But if we could play something like regionally, Minneapolis, Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, I would be super down with that. And that's kind of the goal, is to, have these first few songs and followed up with another batch. And hopefully we can get on a bill somewhere.
That would be amazing. Well, when that happens, please let me know, because that's a show I would travel to go see. I would really love to see it.
Oh, right on, dude.
Yeah, man. Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and let's find out what you're working on next and other things you got going on. Cool?
Cool.
All right, cool. Everybody stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back with Bill Collins from Forbidden Seas. We were talking about the song Wolves, Sheep, and everything that's going on with the band. Bill, thanks again for taking the time today. So, quick question then. So, I know that there's the two songs out on the streaming services right now. That's the single. You have kind of an EP in the works or record in the works, depending on how that shakes out. That's eventually going to get recorded and is in process. But the stuff that's out there now, is it sellable? Like, do you have it on, can I buy a CD? Can I buy a 7-inch? Can I buy a t-shirt? Like what's going on with what you got with it?
Yeah. Right now, the only thing we have, you can buy a download on Bandcamp,
Okay.
and then it's on all the streaming services, Apple Music, Spotify, etc.
Okay.
But yeah, nothing beyond that. Once the record comes out, I think we'll have, kind of do the regular stuff. We'll have a shirt,
Sure.
or shirts, maybe some other merch, maybe some vinyl. We'll see. Haven't really thought that far ahead.
Got it.
But yeah, definitely we'll get that stuff happening at some point.
Cool. So you also talked about how, right. What's your drummer's name? Brandon?
Brandon, yeah.
Brandon. That Brandon like mixed or not mixed, but he edited all of his drum tracks and got everything all nice and where it needed to be before they were included in the ultimate mix. So I believe your depth in audio engineering would indicate to me you probably mixed and mastered this, but maybe not. Who was also involved in the process?
Yeah. So one thing that has happened to me in other bands that I've been in, I love the process of recording and mixing. I really enjoy it. I don't necessarily enjoy mixing my own stuff, because we all know the idea behind that is like the mix is never done. It's done when you have to turn it in, basically. And I got to the point where I was not able to kind of turn off the guitar player artist hat, or I wasn't able to turn that side off
Sure.
and kind of enter mix mode, because you always hear like, oh, I can add this little delay guitar here and there, or experiment with the fuzz on the bass in this part or whatever, or let's try a different drum sample.
Right.
You can always go back and forth. So I just knew that like I needed to hand it off, because if I didn't, it wasn't going to get done. And I will likely kind of continue that going forward. We'll see. But luckily I know a few people that I really respect is mixing engineers. They just really, really know their stuff. So I reached out to my friend Igor, and he's mixed some other friends' projects, but most notably, he's the front of house engineer for Animals as Leaders.
Oh wow.
So he knows his
Awesome.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
he knows how to mix heavy guitar based music.
Sure.
And we're not as heavy as Animals at all, but
Right.
he's just the kind of guy that like he's incredibly intelligent and talented, and you don't have to like he gets it, I guess, to sum it up. So,
Sure.
and he is super fast working. So I would hand over the mix, and the feedback would be quick, and we could kind of go back and forth quickly. So it got done really quickly. So it just took a lot of stress out of the situation for me. And then mastering, I reached out to a connection I had, a guy named Mike Nolte of Eureka Mastering out in Portland. And I met him through my old job. My day job, I work in kind of music software, marketing,
Okay.
and sales. So I met Mike a few years ago, and then I went online to look at his discography, like who he's worked with. I'm like, he's the guy that mastered all the Shiner stuff and Life and Times and the Alan Epley stuff. So I'm like, okay. So first of all, I emailed and I kind of had a fanboy a little bit. I'm like, dude,
Sure.
Starless, The Egg. Oh my God, these are some of my favorite albums. And you had the fortune to be involved with mastering those records, and they sound incredible. And anyway, so I reached out, very nice guy, affordable, and great work. So yeah, it was great to work with a couple of people that I really trust and respect, and hopefully will most likely kind of go that path for the upcoming record too.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's cool to hear. What a fun story. So then what are you mentioned something about electronic stuff that you've also been writing. Are you in other projects actively right now or writing for other projects, or is Forbidden Seas kind of the primary jam?
Forbidden Seas is totally the primary jam right now.
Okay.
I've always kind of written stuff kind of on the side here and there. Um, but yeah, it's nothing that's really notable, nothing that really has a name or anything like that. It's just all kind of messing around for the most part. But it's a bit different than Forbidden Seas, but it's kind of in like that same vein of kind of ambient, kind of progressive, kind of dark, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, no idea when that stuff is gonna find the light of day, but I'm really kind of focused on the limited time I have available to get this Forbidden Seas record done.
Yeah, right. There is that. I mean, children and the rest of life will certainly, yeah, takes its time for sure. And it's not just like there's an abundance lying around to get everything else done. So totally understand that. What then? Oh, so one question I wanted to ask before I forget. Where's like the centralized spot that I know you were saying you're standing up socials and you got these two singles out, or the single with two songs out. Where do people come find Forbidden Seas? Where's the best spot? Is it Bandcamp? Is that the kind of portal, or is there specifically Instagram is better, or somewhere else?
I would say Instagram is probably the place that I would post anything on first. And
Okay.
there's a wait a second, I should double check that I'm actually saying some accurate information. Haven't really updated a lot. We do have a link tree on there, so you
Okay.
can find links to some of the other stuff. We'll be building it out more. But yeah, Instagram is pretty much where you'll find everything. And then, everything will go up to Bandcamp right away, and it'll be on all the streaming platforms too.
Awesome. Awesome. What else are you working on then? Anything else besides that? I mean, you got a full plate anyway, but I just figured I'd ask. Is there something else that you're working on or have your eyes on getting going in 2025 since we're early in the year?
Oh man. Honestly, not really,
That's
just
fair.
kind of like music, and I try to make music as much as possible.
Good for you.
And having a couple of first graders to chase around keeps me busy.
I'm sure it
So
does. Well, that's great, man. Bill, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk with me about all this. It's super fun catching up. It's awesome to hear all the context and background of how this came together and what y'all are working on. And it's super exciting music. It's super exciting to know that hey, there's another record coming and that, there's potentially live shows. Like all that is just amazing. So I'll make sure to post on when I post the episode, I'll share with everybody where they can come find you guys, your Bandcamp and Instagram. But yeah, man, thanks again for just taking the time to talk to me. It's been super awesome.
yeah, thank you, Brett. Great to catch up, and I really appreciate you reaching out and asking me to do this, man.
Absolutely.
Three Crows Club presents B-Side Breakdown. Seems today that people's dreams dying from rust in a daily feast. Daily bread is skewed red, feeds callous minds, they bow every time. Come and watch. Come in the rain.
All right, and that wraps up another episode of the B-Side Breakdown. I want to thank Bill Collins for coming along to talk about the Forbidden Seas song, Wolves, Sheep. I also want to thank Adam Coulong and Carrie Bozel for helping me put together the jingle you hear at the beginning and the end of this episode. In the background, you're listening to a track called Buffalo by a band called Nowhere Fast. If you like what you hear, please go back and listen to that episode because that's what that episode was about. Up next, I got a really, really cool song from a band called The Snorts called Weird But Okay. It's super dope, and I can't wait for you to hear it. And I'll give you a taste of that at the end of this episode. What else? Please subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and thank you so much for your continued and ongoing support. Stay safe and sane out there, and we'll catch up on the next one. Thanks.